are you? Just say hey. Life's pretty lively, man, I tell you. Actually,
Welcome to the July membership meeting. My name is Dave Morgan, Vice Chair of the Alliance. Jameson actually will be here momentarily, but because he's running late and we want to keep him on time, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to everyone that's here online. First off, we'd like to thank our coffee sponsor, which is Chapa. Thanks to everyone. Space will work in. Chris Lopez from Chapa. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. So my name is Chris Lopez, and I'm a Community Relationship Manager for the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority. Easier just to say CHAFA. CHAFA's mission is to strengthen Colorado by investing in affordable housing and community development. And we do that in a variety of different ways. One thing I'd like to be clear about is a lot of people do think we are the state. We are not the state. We were created by the state, but Division of Housing under DOLA is actually the state housing agency who we partner very closely with, obviously, but we are a nonprofit organization. And so ways that we invest in Colorado is we do home ownership, affordable home ownership products. We have partners in the room like Homes Fund we work real closely with, local lending partners as well to do loans to single family homeowners, down payment assistance programs, home buyer education and counseling. We also invest in multifamily products like low-income housing tax credits. The Aspero project here is an example of that. Lumion Apartments on 32nd Street. So those are some of the rental multifamily developments we get involved with. Something unique for our housing authority across the country is that we also do small business lending. So we get involved in a lot of small business lending, partner very closely with Region 9 Economic Development here locally with some of our products. Cash collateral support, for example, where a bank may not want to make a loan to a small business, we can help come in and fuse that bank with some money to help them to make that loan. And then this year we have formalized our fourth leg of community partnerships. And so we have a very robust corporate giving program as well as some grant making, direct effect grants that we award to communities that align with our mission and what we're doing. So again, my name is Chris Lopez, live in Hermosa, but I'm here in Durango locally, cover the Southwest region. Colorado, have several business cards on me and happy to talk with you about what CHAFA does and who we are going forward. So thanks for having us today, Mike.
Any first timers in the room? First meeting for anybody? Andy? Stand up and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. Andy Arnold. I work with Mike and Nancy over at SEH. Really happy to be here with you this morning. Know a lot about what Economic Alliance does, and I've worked with this alliance in the past, but haven't ever come to the early morning meeting. With boss's permission. Thank you.
Good morning, Kip Turner. I actually used to live here and come to these fairly often. I lived here before and we just moved back, so I'm here for the coffee.
All right. Good call.
Good morning, I'm Tracy Trotter and I'm with the Gable House Bed and Breakfast.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good morning, Alan Sessler with Woodbridge Durango. I'm a developer of Elevation Park out in Grandview and building houses there right now.
Thanks for doing that. Welcome. Anybody else?
Robin with LPEA.
All right. Welcome, Rob. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to have Commissioner Salka since Jameson is.
Morning, everyone. Matt Salka, County Commissioner. Thank you, Mike, for accommodating my schedule since I have to leave right after this update. All right, a couple items we have. Do you have?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. 3 items I wanted to update you all on is broadband, our ARPA broadband projects, Purple Cliffs, and a ARPA social impact update. and our housing revolving loan fund. So on our next slide, please. Okay. Oh, thank you. I'll do it myself. All right. Right here we have a map here, and that is, I wanted to show you some items that I work on the Southwest Broadband Committee, which is 5 counties, multiple groups in those 5 counties working together on prioritizing fiber going through our Region 9 locations. And this map is showing for La Plata County as the whole county right here. So to give you kind of what's going on here is that the red is our priority 1, which will be working on a middle mile project, which is Cortez to Durango to attach a redundancy issue that we have, that there is a gap between both cities. The other item on the red here on the east side of Durango will be to Durango to Three Springs. And then Three Springs to Highway 172 to Ignacio, which is currently happening right now with the Southern Ute Tribe. Priority 2 is the orange, as you see there. And that is North Bayfield, so County Road 501 to Vallecito, County Road 240 to Edgemont, and attaching back into the city of Durango. The other item for orange would be on the lower left-hand side of this map would be for Hesperus, Highway 140 to Brain, Klein, and Marble. With this, what we see is there is some funding coming in from the state of Colorado Broadband Office, and we are submitting a letter, actually we had submitted it last week, a letter of intent to prioritize to show the need and the necessity for high-speed internet in the rural parts of Colorado, which includes our five counties. The purple line you see down below in the middle would be Highway 550 towards New Mexico. So with this, with our prioritization and showing this to the state on getting funding coming in, is to show the necessity and the need for high-speed internet, because in those areas, it's a severe necessity for higher speed broadband. With this, we've submitted to this Colorado Broadband Office to show, here we go, there we go, thank you Mike. To show to be able to prioritize and to allow hopefully some additional funding. The Governor Polis had stated he wanted to bring 97% internet throughout the state of Colorado. So this is showing the need, the necessity, working through multiple partners to be able to highlight, to hopefully get some extra funding coming here from the state. What's happening right now with ARPA? We have $2.5 million that we have submitted trying to do spacebar and talk at the same time here is obviously difficult for me this morning. With our ARPA funding of $2.5 million that we allocated, we have submitted a project through DOLA, Department of Local Affairs, which would be Highway 151, which is Ignacio to Pagosa Springs, to tie in with the CDOT project. With that partnership, we have La Plata County, Archuleta County, LPA, and the Southern Ute Tribe. So hopefully with that DOLA, we'll hear soon on a potential funding coming in. Those 4 partners submitted $500,000 for $2 million for a total of a $4 million project. The other second project that we have with DOLA would be a CNL, carrier neutral location here on Main Street at our old OMPO building, a county-owned facility, to be able to tie in ISPs for their equipment and also tie in redundancy through Region 10 and Region 9 to help fill the fiber gap that we have throughout the whole state. With that, here we should hear in about 2 months or so from DOLA to see if we need to present and hopefully hear the good news that we got a yes on those funding. Next item 2 as well is Purple Cliffs. We're closing Purple Cliffs on September 30th. We're currently working with the city of Durango on next steps, which includes locating a managed camp. I am meeting weekly with Mayor Barbara Noseworthy, and we both are having both city and county managers meeting weekly. It's a high priority for us, and we're still committed, and we're at the table. Next item 2 as well is our ARPA Update Social Impacts Provider. We're down to our 3 finalists. That's $3.5 million. With this partner, we'll be able to help be able to get money. They're going to go through the process. We have quite a bit of submittals. So the good news is that there was several groups to be able to go through that list to help finalize and for us to approve the $3.5 million to each project. The next item 2 as well is our housing revolving loan fund. Today is my meeting to approve funding to Homes Fund for an acquisition related to the Triangle Park acquisition. So that park is right next door to Westside Mobile. And that is my several updates. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Salka. Lots of updates. We kind of shifted the municipal updates to the front because we seem to always run out of time at the very end. So they get to come up, show their face, and go back down. So Eric, Kim Baxter.
Or in Matt's case, go to another meeting.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Kim Baxter, I'm Durango City Councilor. There were a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. One kind of is a follow-up to what Matt talked about closing Purple Cliffs. So the city councilors and staff will be having a meeting on Tuesday to discuss the impacts of closing Purple Cliffs on the city, within the city limits, and how we might mitigate those impacts. So we'll be discussing things like where might a managed site be if we had a managed site within the city, and giving staff some direction about how that might work. We've been working with the county on the idea of more than one site, so the possibility of one site within the city limits and alternate sites outside the city limits, so that we would have different types of camps. The homeless situation isn't just one animal, it's many, many different kinds of people. And so you have families that need a different kind of support from people who have drug and alcohol issues, say, who need a different kind of support. So we're trying to figure out how do we accommodate the needs of everyone in a way that doesn't harm or negatively impact our communities. So that's a really huge challenge. I have already seen people moving from Purple Cliffs into the city. I ride my bike down south a lot, and so I know that there's movement already happening even before the camp is closed. So we're also going to be talking about, as a city, how do we deal with that? So currently we have an ordinance that allows overnight camping in non-city managed parks, which means in our open space. So that means people can set up a tent or a camp. I believe the requirement is a half an hour before sunset, and they have to break it down a half an hour after sunrise. So that's not really good for our community. And I'm looking at the idea, I've suggested this, we'll be discussing it, that the city manager right now by that ordinance has the ability to designate specific overnight camping spots. So rather than having people spread out through the open space, and I'm going to back up just a little bit, there's about 140 to 160 people living in Purple Cliffs right now. So that's kind of a concentrated area where if a fire breaks out or there's hygiene issues, it's all in one area. When those people leave and spread out through our open space, we're going to have hundreds of spaces that could be fire potential or hygiene issues. So we want to mitigate that. So if we could designate, say, 2 or 3 places, and I'm thinking, parking lots, open dirt areas, I'm not thinking open space. This is places where people can be managed, because one of the other problems that's going to occur as people leave Purple Cliffs is their caseworkers and their social help and someone who wants to offer them a job won't be able to find them. So we need to know where they are. They need to be registered if they're going to stay in one of these overnight camping sites. Now, council hasn't discussed this yet, so this is just basically coming from me, and I want to make that clear. Not because I want you to think of it as from me, but I want you to know that council hasn't had this discussion yet. The other thing that I think would be really important about that is that we also need, other than that, to have a citywide camping ban. So the county does have a countywide camping ban. So as people start leaving Purple Cliffs, the county will be enforcing that. And so they won't be able to camp on county property or in the county. They'll have to move into the city to do so. So if we don't also have a citywide camping ban, people will be moving into the city. So what we need to do is make it the same type of ban across our entire county so that we're treating everyone equally and we have the same ability to control the population. So this is Tuesday's meeting. It's going to be critical, I think, to how this ends up getting handled. So Matt is absolutely right, discussing a managed campsite, discussing more than one managed campsite, a parking site, for example. I know you've all seen all the cars parked along the road down there by Purple Cliffs. So there are a lot of homeless people who have cars. If they had a safe place to park their car, to sleep overnight, that would also be a really good location. positive thing is that there's something I can't talk about yet, but we have a possible really good lead on a site, so that's very exciting. If you have any questions about this or concerns, I know we all have concerns, let me know and we'll talk about it. So the other thing I wanted to talk with you about, I don't know if Hal mentioned this, I think it was before the MOU was signed, but the Durango Fire Protection District and the City of Durango have signed a memorandum of understanding to engage in a process to determine if the site where the downtown fire station now is, which is River City Hall down there by the river and by the powerhouse, is the right space for the Fire Protection District to build their new station, rather than at their 9R administration building. So that MOU is a year long. Hopefully we won't need that much time, but it's a very complicated conversation about who owns land, who leases it, how does that work? What happens if that's the location that works? What happens when they're doing active construction? Where does the fire district put their equipment, for example, so that they can still use it to fight fires and have it be in a safe location? Should the police department also co-locate with the fire district? It's another conversation that we all have to have. Is that the highest and best use of dollars for us? It may very well be, or there might be some other options. So those are all the things that will be discussed, and there's two interesting things about it. I know that there was some concern about how the fire district and the city have worked together in the past and haven't been able to kind of get it going and get it together. So one of the caveats in the MOU is a 45-day cancellation clause if either of the parties believes that the other party is not moving forward in good faith and making efforts to make this happen. Flip side of that, if that happens, then 2 weeks later, we have to have a public meeting with both entities there to sit down and discuss why it's happening and to see if we can change that, and also to let the public know what's going on. So on the front side of this, in probably a month or so, you will be hearing public engagement requests from BFPD and from the city for the public to come forward and say, what do you want that station, if it goes there, to look like? How do you want things to function? Do you think that's a good location? So the city is going to be engaged early on before designs are done. So I think that's a wonderful way to handle it, to hear from it. Other than that, Eva's going to be doing our housing update, so I really don't have much else to say, unless anybody has any questions. Thanks, sorry.
You're actually talking to.
How's baby food?
Well, we survived our big 4th of July event. We figured we had upwards of about 5,000 people at that event, so it proves to be a great economic driver for our town. We do have a block party next Thursday, another great community event, and then I'd like to also invite everybody on August 11th, 81122. That is once in a lifetime. That is our zip code. So we decided we're going to throw a party for the town for 81122 day. Happy to report that our ADA sidewalks and parking on Mill Street will be completed any day now. We had some rain issues there, but that was funded through our downtown revitalization grant. It's looking really nice. I'd like to extend an invite to any members of the community at this time. We're going to be forming a working group to give input on our land use, our future development, drought management, et cetera. We have a lot of comments coming in at our public forums, so we would like to get people involved to do the research. They got a lot of free time on their hands. They're doing some legwork. So anybody wants to join our working group, please just reach out to me. Tonight, during our planning commission meeting, we will be looking at the Ironton annexation and initial zoning. And that is this is a pretty interesting project. 21 acres, if you're not familiar with it, if you know the lay of the land, it's between the post office, so basically the Parkway and 160. This is a much needed concept. It's hoping to be an RV resort, small hotel, and 4 rent duplexes. Might be a little bit of a tricky one because we already do have residents that are living in RVs there, kind of a unofficial RV park. So we don't want to displace any residents, so we have to work on a plan to relocate these individuals. But hopefully next update I will have next month, some more progress on our east intersection as well as our Cinnamon Heights development, our town-owned property. So look forward to giving you updates on those.
Thanks so much, Mayor Tarkington. We'll go to Mayor Clark Credit from next year.
Thank you. All right, well, good morning, everybody. Under the buzzword of affordable housing, we've got some things moving. I think next month we'll have a lot more detail. We've got some annexation happening, some plating work and some subdivision work on some stuff, so that's pretty exciting. Last year, we partnered with Fast Tracks and submitted a grant for some fiber to the premises in Ignacio. Because of some of the government red tape, we were not approved last year. We found out this week that we have been approved with some new legislation that came down. So that's exciting. So we'll be working with Southern Youth because they also have a program phase 2 that's going to be fiber to the premises in the Ignacio area as well. We need teachers. And so if you know anybody that wants to work in one of the lowest pay grades in La Plata County, Ignacio's the place. We're actually looking for international folks to come into this community to do teaching because we can't find teachers. And that should worry a lot of us, especially parents and so forth. July 30th, San Ignacio Days. We'll have a parade at 10 o'clock. So if you guys want to be in a parade, come on out. The Creative Arts District is going to be hosting a little bit after parade party at the Shoshone Park. We'll have some live music and some food and things of that nature. So that'll be a really good time. I'll yield the rest of my time to Albert.
Thanks so much, Mayor Craig. I apologize for my tardiness this morning. It was either get a button up on or I was going to do this in muck boots. So it is full on farming hay season. So I was running a little bit late and then came to Commissioner Salka's presentation on broadband, and boy, 550 is tore up. Anybody that's going to New Mexico, it's a little slower coming down. Real quick board update. So the board met last week. We're in the process of ironing out an MOU to really do the final design of the La Posta Road sewer project with the city. So super exciting. As everybody knows, La Posta has been a hot topic, it seems like probably for decades. So to finally be at a point where we're putting pen to paper and putting some agreements and understandings together with the city of Durango is super, super exciting. We just published a 45-page workforce housing investment strategy with Project Moxie. So we sent that out. A ton of information in there. I think Mike's going to kind of hit some of the highlights, but a ton of data, and then hopefully we really got some good strategies on how to go in and start to try and address some of that. Project Moxie's been, she's been fantastic to work with. So the other piece, just hearing the updates from city and county, there's some big issues facing our community. So whether it's Purple Cliffs or homelessness, get out and take a look at it. If you haven't been down to Purple Cliffs, go drive by it. I encourage you to kind of put boots on the ground. Maybe not Purple Cliffs, but at least drive by. But walk the river trail. When they talk about the relocation of the fire station, if you haven't been down there, go stroll down. I think it's worth actually taking a look at some of these projects and forming an opinion based off it, because it's different to kind of see. We walked the river trail the other day, and to Councilor Baxter's point, it's already changing. It's changing significantly. So appreciate everybody coming this morning. We'll move to Director Michael French.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
This will be second to the last time that I'll advertise this, but the airport closure, please mark your calendars, September 7th through the 16th. And there's a similar community that is going through the exact same thing, and looks like they're on time. So very optimistic that we're gonna hit this window, and Tony's optimistic as well. Just a quick call out to some membership renewals. DAR, Pediatric Partners in the Southwest, ASAP Accounting and Payroll, Foya Barrett, Durango Native, thanks Jack, and Alpine Leadership. Thank you all for your support. Quick project updates. In the fall of 2020, the Alliance published a 3-year strategic plan which outlined our top priorities, and those top priorities were workforce housing, workforce development, and business capacity and growth. How do we keep the businesses that are here healthy and able to grow and enable them? A little did we know, and mind you, this is probably August of 2020, that those three things would be more relevant today than they were back then. And so I think our compass was spot on, and we're continuing to work on these things. The one thing that that's sort of getting long in the tooth is talking about the housing crisis. And so, after thinking about this quite a bit, I think what we need to do is transition from data on housing stats that show how behind the eight ball we are to solutions. And really start talking about how we're gonna address that, what kind of projects are in place. That's why I'm really excited that Eva's here to talk about what the city's doing, and we'll continue to use our time in a more productive way talking about addressing these things. In terms of housing, as Jameson said, we just published that 3-year investment strategy. It's online at yeslpc.com. We'll actually bring additional copies at every single meeting here through the end of the year so that you can take some home and look at that. And as Jameson also alluded to, please get involved. There's something in there that you think you can assist with or have an opinion on, we want to hear it. Within that 3-year plan, and I'm going to be very brief about this, there's 6 specific strategies. And Jen kind of covered it at a high level, but it's worth repeating. Density where it makes sense, obviously. Buy down the existing inventory where we can and preserve that under market, such as what Commissioner Salka is talking about with Triangle. We just did that with Westside. Commitment to scale. What are the big ideas where we get scale, 300 plus units? How do we put our oomph behind that, money behind that, so we really get some economies of scale and leverage the dollars that are out there. Mortgage assistance. We've done a great job with that. It's been challenging with the lack of inventory, but how do we continue to provide mortgage assistance? Chris, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing CHFA into our community in a stronger way than ever. Sustainable funding sources, and I'll talk real quickly about this and what the Alliance is doing in terms of the Catalyst Fund. But this is not a one-time silver bullet where address it, it goes away. This is going to be an ongoing issue that we need to find sustainable funding sources for. And last but not least, community engagement. If we do need to go after additional funding sources and the community needs to be involved, how does the community stay up to date? And how is the community engaged in the priorities of the community? In terms of the funding, the Alliance started a Catalyst Fund, and this was as a result of a grant that we got through the county. So thank you, county. And the Catalyst Fund right now has $125,000 in it. We are looking for a couple of strategic funders, have active conversations with them about growing this to $500,000. That includes our public partners as well. This would be a 3-tiered grant, potentially long-term loan, looking at that as well. And those would be distributed by committee. And those tiers are probably $25K and down, that would be more staff, $75K and down committee, $150K and down by committee. And we'll tighten that up. We will try to launch this Catalyst Fund the first week of August and hopefully advertise it to the CHFA leadership that will be here in Durango first week of August. A rental assistance program. Another opportunity that we're trying to cement with a partnership with First Southwest Community Fund. They're looking to put $100,000 into a fund that will be matched with some fees from the county. That would enable us to do 20 microloans of $5,000 a piece. $2,500 and $2,500, meaning workforce can afford rent. Let's just say it's $2,500 rent. What they can't afford it is 3 times upfront in cash flow. So first, last, and deposit, that's a big hurdle. So how do we help with that and do last month's and deposit in a microloan and have $100K to do so? So we'll probably launch that. My guess is I can advertise the launch of that next meeting. Very excited about that. Excuse me, workforce. As a result of another grant, we have an internship program, and I talked about this in our last meeting. This is in partnership with FOC. We have 20 to 25 internships that we can do at 150 hours at $20 an hour. That's $3K an intern. In some cases, the organizations are meeting us halfway, subsidizing some of this. That allows us to expand this from 20 to 25, maybe 30. Right now, we have 16 members, or organizations that are members with 5 interns placed. We're trying to expedite this. It's hard with the kids not being in school right now. So we're looking for jobs that are potential full-time employment. We're going after seniors, we're going after graduates, because we're trying to seed workforce here, not just doing internships for experience. Those programs exist, they're healthy. This is more about workforce and workforce positions. Upskill, reskill, we have another grant that we're working with PCC and FOC to do a pop-up lab in this very room. That will start fall of 2020 and go through fall of 2023. So we're looking at 3, potentially 4 semesters if we include summer. And that would be a micro-certification in IT network. Again, get people to work as quick as possible with micro-cert. And all of this would be subsidized by the grant. Business capacity and growth, I'm not going to spend much time on this because we've talked quite a bit about what we're doing with Costa and the commitment to light. Industrial there and workforce housing potential as well. We need to get the investment in place to get the infrastructure done, and I think we're well on our way there. So thank you, city and county, and everybody that's involved with that. Very quickly, Charlie, Tracy, thank you so much. Gable House is going to be our lodging partners for the summit in 2022. That is Wednesday, September 21st. We've got probably half of our sponsors on board, which I'm really excited about. We have a few other sponsors to reach out to and get commitments from. We'll start ticket sales. Michelle actually got the registration up yesterday. We'll start ticket sales, my guess is at the end of this month, at the latest, first week of August, so that we have plenty of time to do this. Really excited about the 4 keynotes that are committed, including Admiral Mike McCabe, former Top Gun executive officer, in command of the Pacific Fleet, was in the Pentagon when it got hit and had jurisdiction over all the carriers and airplanes. And ironically, he's going to talk about servant leadership, not what you would expect from somebody like an admiral. So can't wait for that. We'll start talking a little bit more about these keynotes in the next week, next month meeting. With that, I'll turn it back over to Jameson. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike. Anybody think Mike and Michelle are doing a great job? These guys are working materials out for the community, so really appreciate what you guys are doing. Eva. Where are you hiding?
I'm hiding over here.
Right here.
Good morning.
Eva, space bar.
Space bar, okay. I'm excited to be here and talk about housing, lots of housing. The whole presentation is focused on housing. I am the Housing Innovation Manager for the City of Durango. If some of you aren't familiar with that division, it is a newer division for the City of Durango. I've been in the position 6 months. So I'm excited to share that. I assist in creating, implementing, and administering community housing initiatives towards the goal of maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in Durango through the creation and support of affordable housing development. So a couple of key things. Our housing page on the durangogov.org website is a great resource for information. I'm continuing to track housing data quarterly, and I'm updating that on that page, so it's always accessible. I just recently updated that for June. What that tracks is affordable housing units that are coming in the pipeline, as well as residential projects that are in the pipeline. This particular slide right now will illustrate, we're also monitoring how many COs are issued in the city of Durango. Just for the first quarter, 11 COs were issued. That entails individual houses, single duplex, as well as townhomes. I don't have current data for April through June just yet, but know that that'll be on our website here soon under the permit page. For current project summary, right now we are busy in community development. We have 18 residential projects that are in the pipeline. That consists of 1,189 units. I did say 1,189 units, either in review, approved, or under construction in Durango. What's the breakdown of that? Approximately 891 units would be rental within developments of apartment complexes. Those could be small scale or larger scale, which is about 75% of that unit breakdown, as well as 297 units for home ownership, which is about 25% of that. And that can be single family, that could be townhomes, that could be duplexes, etc. Number of affordable housing units in the city of Durango. We do have 571 affordable units. A majority of those units are rent restricted units. Where we're starting to make some strides and headway right now is on home ownership, which would be deed restricted units. In particular, the project that I would reference is Mountain Trace. That's kind of off of Metz Lane, if you are familiar with that. We just had 2 units close in May that were deed restricted, a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom, ranging in various area median income, between 80% and 120% typically. And 2 more units are currently for sale in MLS. Both are 1-bedroom, 1-bath units with a 2-car tandem garage. Those are priced at 125% area median income. I think the price point's $324,000, give or take, for both of those units. And they're actually fairly large. 1-bedroom, 749 square feet, I think approximately. It's a pretty good size unit there. Durango statistics, we currently have 9,022. This is coming from the US Census recent data. What's the breakdown? What's our landscape looking like? So home ownership rate, what's our owner occupied is 55%, give or take, and our renter rate is about 44%. And so our below market units would be 6.3% of our housing stock right now. So I'm trying to increase and work to increase our inventory for those types of units. How am I doing that? So I have a couple of projects that have been approved. The Animas City Park Overlook Townhomes will be a 22 townhome unit project located in our North Main Gateway urban renewal area, which is near the North City Market. In exchange for some financial support between the URA and the city and the Housing Innovation Division, we are securing 10 units that will be home ownership for sale products that will be deed restricted for our local workforce. Gage Apartments is another development project that was approved in March. That will be an 89 apartment development on Escalante Drive, kind of near Rocket Point Apartments. Out of those 89 units, 14 will be rent restricted. 1 and 2 bedroom units ranging from 80% to 120% area median income. Right now for 2022, that would range between $62,800 and $98,125 for a 2-person household. We also are working on the adaptive reuse hotel motel project with the Best Western conversion. That would break down to converting 71 existing units and adding an additional 49 units for a total of 120 affordable housing units. Other housing initiatives. We'll be going to council actually next week on initiating housing-related code amendments specifically for our ADU program, as well as a creation of our ADU incentive rebate program to create more housing options in convenient locations already served by our city services. And the criteria for that rebate program will be to rent to local workforce. We're trying to keep it simple to get tangible results until we have more inventory in our pipeline. We continue to participate with the Regional Housing Alliance in various initiatives, supporting the Urban Renewals Authority efforts to incentivize workforce housing. A key component, which Mike addressed as well, is public-private partnerships. So continuing to establish those, work through those negotiations, as well as new partnerships. An example here, of course, is La Posta, Durango Mesa, and Three Springs. smartly and strategically moving to expand areas to accommodate growth, working with La Plata County, continuing to work with the property owners on La Posta to advance annexation into city limits, and committing resources. Just a couple of things we have going on in housing.
Even that's 6% of under market. Where do you want that? What's the goal?
Where do I want it? Where does city council
Yeah.
want it?
As a community, what's a healthy number, 6%?
I think it's gonna vary. Right now, the housing plan that was adopted in 2018 for the city of Durango identifies 1,000 units into the pipeline by 2040. I think in the 3-year strategic plan, we've identified 20 units a year to try and get to almost 100 units. So again, I think it's kind of a moving target. I'm always wanting to increase it, so I don't know that we have a set number right this moment.
Thanks so much for the update. Al? With the train, one of my favorite guys in town. Every time I see him, he's got a smile on his face. I don't know if anybody else notices that. The only guy I may like more is his son.
Okay, first of all, the yellow shirt. Now, most of you I've met, the rest of you, they're all saying, who's the guy in the yellow shirt? So it pays to advertise. Plus, it enhances my safety crossing streets. Now, I have 8 minutes, so raise your hand when I'm at 7 minutes, so I know I gotta cut it off. When I first came in the room, I was chatting with people, and I saw the sign, the magnitude of gratitude. And that's so important in everything we do in life, whether it's family or business or community projects, to be grateful. I'll say something that most of you won't believe. I'm grateful for the fire in 2018. And why am I grateful for it? It made us better. It made the railroad much better. Made the railroad very strong. We have invested in things I probably wouldn't have done. Some of you know this, but we've invested $14 million in the railroad in the last 4 years. We now use locomotives that don't start fires, and we converted our steam engines to oil burning, and they don't start fires. We've not had one spark, one ember on the railroad track now in 4 years. So it's important. We're better for what happened. We survived it, and I'm grateful that we went through that experience. Now, 4 years, 2019 was terrific. Everybody did well in 2019. We had a great year. And in 2020, we lost our shirts. we dropped more money than I think I ever could have imagined. And 2021 was a record year, the most ridership in the history of the railroad. We carried 219,000 people and in 2021. I give you those dates because I want you to compare what we are doing this year. How's the railroad doing? This year, we are up 18% in ridership over 2019 and 9% over ridership in 2021. So 2021 was a record year, and right now our ridership is 9% more than what we did in 2021. Reservations, we are 35% ahead of 2019. Unfortunately, we're 5% less future reservations than we were at this time in 2021. And here's a startling thing for me anyway. Our walk-ups, people with no reservations, that's people that are coming to the train station after the last train leaves in day, making reservations for the first train the next day. We have gone from a usual 5% walk-ups to nearly 15% of our ridership are walk-ups that didn't have reservations. That's an amazing number when you think about where things are going. So what do I project for the rest of this year? I think we're going to do just as well as we did in 2021. I think it'll be another record year. I'm really excited about ridership. I'm excited about Polar Express. I know it's early to talk about Christmas, but I'm really excited. We have lots of demand for Polar Express. You're gonna see a December this year that won't quit. Should be somewhere between Polar Express and our regular ridership of over 40,000 riders in December. So it'll be a good finish to the year. I want to talk about one other thing that I'm really grateful for. I'm grateful for the Alliance, the Economic Alliance. When we were going through these struggles, we always question ourselves, what is the impact of the railroad on the community? About 20 years ago, we actually had an impact study done, and it's never really seriously been updated. I went and had great conversations with Michael about what can we do? What can we do to measure how the railroad does? We talked with people about Fort Lewis in the business school about doing it. And one of my fears was I'm a donor to Fort Lewis and I didn't want it to be coloring whatever the results came out to be. So through context that Fort Lewis made for us, we went to the University of Montana. They have a bureau that does nothing but economic research. They worked with University of Colorado, the Leeds School of Business, and did an impact study on Durango and Silverton Railroad. It's all based on the amount of marketing the railroad does, which is over $750 million a year, and on the number of riderships, the length of their stay, and the amount of money they spend while they're here. The gross economic impact, according to the experts, is $567 million. The railroad does a lot for the community. The railroad's portion of the total economic viability of the community is 17%. The workforce impact is 25%. Those are jobs either directly hired by the railroad or jobs that are totally impacted by the visitor ridership from the railroad. The actual direct number of jobs is 5,308. And the payroll impact to this community, which is La Plata County, is $172 million. It's important to me that people in the community recognize how hard the railroad works to be a good system. We invest our money, we make this our home. Most of you know John, my son, he's taking over the day-to-day operation. My wife says, you're getting too old for this. But I will tell you, you'll never see me retire. I'm gonna be on the street every day, working at the railroad. I've been totally blessed. So I think my 8 minutes are up, but the message to you is, our company's been blessed. The Durango and Silverton Railroad is in the strongest position it's ever been, and I'm grateful for all of that. I want to do a shout out though for a couple of groups. I am so impressed with BID. To see their ambassadors on the street and to see how they help answer the questions for the visitors, BID does a terrific job. I'm also impressed with Visit Durango. They try to do a lot with limited budget, and I certainly understand that. I think probably the railroad's marketing budget is the biggest in the entire community. Now, if any of you are really into computer economics, I'll be happy to share copies of the economic report. I think I used my 8 minutes.
Thanks so much, Al. Jim Walsworth.
Anytime you get a shout out from Al, that's awesome. Our ambassadors are out there working every day in downtown. They're stationed in front of the depot on weekends, and we're seeing record numbers of people and helping them find what they need every single day, part of what your bid does. I want to talk about 3 things today. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for the time. Appreciate that. 3 things on my mind today to update you guys about, and kind of fall under our advocacy programs and work. And the first one is the crossing of Camino del Rio. So y'all know this is something that we've wanted as a community for many, many years. I talked with Mary Monroe the other day at the Durango Trail. She told me they've been working on it for 20 years. So it's a long needed project for safety, for connectivity, and for economic impact. Tons of studies have been done of where should this be located. Most recent was 2020. It said 12th and Camino is the right spot. That study also said it ought to be an underpass. And this year, the project is being designed and engineered, and isn't SEH working on that? Right, so thank you guys for that. You know, we talked about the fire station and the city and the fire department working, maybe that new station should be where they're located now. And if you think about where that is, that's 12th and Camino. And so we had talked with the chief many years ago, several years ago, and he has always said and maintains that any kind of underpass that emerges there on that River City Hall property would not impact them redeveloping on that site. The way this project gets funded is through the Multimodal Advisory Board and the Parks and Rec Advisory Boards for the city. They make recommendations annually to council on what to fund and when. The Parks and Rec Board ranks this project highly, but unfortunately multimodal has fallen down off their list of priorities. And so the impact of that is that recently as last year, this was slated to get built in 2024, and now that's being penciled in to not be built until 2027, which has me concerned a little bit. Yes.
I just heard last night at my Natural Lands Preservation Board that the multimodal board and Parks and Rec Board subcommittees had met, the chairs and vice chairs, and multimodal is recommending moving construction to 2025. You're quiescent.
Well, that's what we're hoping happens. So thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I wish it could be earlier, honestly, but 2025 would give our businesses in Town Plaza, that north end, they were impacted a lot by 2 years of construction on Camino. There's a little PTSD there, I think, from all that. And so a couple of year break would be good, and but we get that thing done in a timely manner. So if you guys know people on those boards, let them know that 2025 at the latest is when this project should be funded. Next topic I want to talk about is another long-term vision that BID has had, and this is, you know, the BID was formed back in '97 to explore a conference center. Some of you who have been around a while will remember a project called Steam Park, a performing arts venue on the river next to downtown, right where Powerhouse is located. And both of those never came to fruition, obviously, but a group has been meeting since 2017, including BID and some community volunteers, to combine these two concepts into one and create a sustainable facility. And so we have a plan right now for a state-of-the-art performance venue, 400 to 500 seat theater, rehearsal hall, studio theater for about 200 that could replace what we lost with the closing of the Henry Strader Theater. It also contains a conference center capable of hosting conferences, about 400 people, a large ballroom for meals and keynote speeches and all the breakout spaces, all those things you expect and what you experience when you go to conferences. And everything designed with flexible spaces, so there's multiple uses that can happen. And when you put those together, you get productive occupancy is what we call it, and sustainable operations. A conference center, all the BID studies show you need pretty major subsidies, operating subsidies. Those can go away when you combine these two models. So we are working with the city. I had a great productive meeting with some key city staff right before the 4th of July. And we're gonna be pushing to advance this idea up to council. And by the way, this type of facility is noted directly in current city council goals, as well as the city's last comp plan from 2017. So just another big item that we're working on. And then just the last thing, just to let y'all know about, I think I talked about this before when I was here a couple of months back, but the BID is funded by a small mill levy on about 400 commercial properties, downtown and North Main. That mill levy is set to expire in 2025. And so we are working on a plan right now with the board and a local attorney, Paul Kosnick, to go to voters in November 2023 and ask for reapproval. So I will have more to say on that in the future, but planting some seeds there for you guys that own properties or own businesses in those properties downtown and North Main. That's all I got, Mike.
in the back room.
Would the conference center include a parking structure?
Yes, wouldn't that be nice?
Last. I knew the answer.
Thank you so much, Tim. Lots of updates today. We appreciate everybody coming. Next meeting is scheduled for August 10th. Historically, we haven't had a meeting in August, but we kind of brought that back a couple years ago. It seems like everybody's just on showing up, so we appreciate that. Again, get involved. Anything you heard today, if you have more questions, reach out to Mike, Michelle, one of the board members. We really appreciate y'all's participation. Some stuff's coming. Yes?
August 10th is a Wednesday. Did you mean the 9th?
Yes, second
Okay.
Tuesday, sorry about that.
No worries.
We even advertised that today was the 13th. Until Michelle pointed that out to me, so.
I think we're all just so excited for 8/11/22. Can't get any of our days straight. Really appreciate everybody coming this morning. Again, have a great week.